That moment when you're trying to make a YouTube video and this happens. Hello guys, and welcome to the first installment of KurzedBrush tutorials. In this video we're going to make lava bases. And the first thing we're going to do is simply to superglue some cork to the base. And the whole reason I'm using superglue instead of PVA glue is that PVA glue simply doesn't hold a strong enough bond. So over time, when you're using the models for gaming and all that, you want to make sure that the bases hold up for it. And now we're applying some superglue on top of the cork and then sprinkling some sand over it just to get a bit more texture to the base, so it gets a bit more visual interest. And we'll go forth to the next step. And now all that's left to do is to finish this base by adding a few extra pieces, which you can see me doing right here. Oh my god, it's already finished. And now we're going to go out and undercoat the base with Chaos Black spray. So we'll catch you right after this. Okay, so the first color we're going to use today is Stegadon Scale Green from Games Workshop. And the feeling I want to get into this base is basically an ashen volcanic world. And I really think that Stegadon Scale Green does a good job of doing that from the start. So we're really setting the theme from the start here. Okay, so in the next step, we'll go over a bit more detail on dry brushing and how it works and how to do it. Okay, so regarding dry brushing, we're going to use Fenrisian Gray for this one. And what you want to do is dip your brush into the paint and wipe it off on a paper towel. The reason we're using a paper towel is because it draws out the excess moisture from the paint so that it's actually dry when you're applying it. So if you were using like a palette or something that simply doesn't draw moisture from the brush, you will get this streaky effect instead, which is not desirable in most cases, at least. And one other thing to think about when dry brushing is how hard you apply the paint. If you go about it like applying the brush with a feather light touch, you will have one result. If you're pretty rough with it, you will get another result. So these bases are perfect for experimenting, really, if you just want to try this technique and learn it for yourself, because it can take a while to learn how to do it properly. Okay, so the next color we're going to use in this project is model color white. And again, it's dry brushing. And we're just going to apply this to the sharpest edges and a few minor details here and there. It's basically just to break up the surface and make it more, well, fun to look at, basically. And when we come back, it's time to paint the lava, finally. Okay, so for painting the lava, we're going to use 3 colors. It's Vallejo Heavy Red, Vallejo Bloody Red, and Vallejo Gold Yellow. And as you can see, I have reset my wet palette from the accident I had in the beginning. And I also realized I was using the wrong color. So here you can see me just putting some paint on the palette, ready to start painting basically. And the first color we're going to use as a base coat is the heavy red, of course. And you want to thin it down with a tiny bit of water so that it flows easily off the brush, but also still gives a good coverage. And we'll just work around the base in order to get a solid base coat. And I'm also applying this paint to the areas where we applied the sand earlier as well, to make them look like a few like burning, glowing patches or pieces of glowing debris or whatever. And still just to break up the surface a bit. So we'll go over this. And I'm also giving it two thin coats and let them dry in between. And now we're starting to introduce some of the bloody red to start to build up those highlights. And this is the part where we really see the lava coming to life and the whole base just coming alive. And as I mentioned before, this is the first YouTube video I ever made, so I'm sorry about the shaky camera and the small mistakes and glitches, but I will try to improve as best as I can. And what I'm doing here is basically applying a bit of the bloody red, rinsing my brush, taking a bit of the darker red, and blending them together just slightly. It's basically just a quick wet blend, and we'll go over that in another video, more in detail. And now it's time to mix our orange. So we take a bit of the bloody red and a bit of the white and a bit of the yellow, and we're just mixing them together. And then here I'm applying it in a stippling motion. And again, all these techniques, if you want to know more about them, I can make separate videos on stippling, wet blending, and to teach you those techniques. These are a few ideas that I have in mind for future videos. And let me know in the comment section down below if you want me to do that. And now we're starting to introduce more of a clean yellow. And this is the point where the lava really comes to life and starts actually looking more like fire. And we're blending it a bit with the orange that we used earlier. And this is really the this is what the wet palette does best, because you can use the same colors over and over again without having to worry about them drying out. And there are tons of videos about wet palettes and why you should get one, but I'm not going to cover that in this video. And here you can see me going over the sand at the top to make them into those glowing embers that we mentioned earlier. Just going back and forth between the reds, the oranges, the yellow. And it's really just a matter of working back and forth. Okay, so we're starting to get to the end of this video. And if you like this one, subscribe, like the video, share it with your friends. And I hope that you got something out of it. And I hope to see you in the next one.